So from 4 p.m. today, well, obviously we want to make these restrictions immediate. So if you're able to apply these restrictions, do so immediately, but obviously compliance will be happening from 4 p.m. today. The following restrictions apply to everybody living in Sydney, Blue Mountains, Central Coast, Wollongong and Shell Harbour. Importantly, we don't want more than 5 visitors to any household. That includes children. So please don't welcome any more than 5 visitors into your household, including children. We know it's a difficult time given school holidays. And I should also say at the outset that these restrictions that we're announcing today will be in place from 4 p.m. today for an additional week. So obviously we had said that the mask wearing restrictions had to be in place for another week until Wednesday midnight. This will now apply to these restrictions that I'm announcing today. So no more than 5 visitors per household, including children. At hospitality venues, no vertical consumption. All people must be seated wherever you are at any setting. We do not want mingling. Mingling will mean transferring the virus. So please make sure all consumption at hospitality venues or otherwise or at events has to be seated and with good social distancing. Now, obviously, no singing or dancing at any venue except for weddings, which we will allow 20 people on the dance floor at any given time. But no dancing or singing, whether it's a place of worship, whether it's a nightclub, whether it's anywhere else, but for weddings. So clearly, no more than 20 people on the dance floor at a wedding. We will be reverting to the 1 per 4 square metre rule during this time, and we know that will have an impact on family gatherings like funerals or weddings, but these are the measures we have to take charge of now so that we don't have to do anything more severe down the track. So what we're putting in place now is in a bid to prevent us having to take further action. Now, if there's a major outdoor event like a sporting event or another organised event, we will be recommending only 50% capacity. So if there's a stadium where there's a major event on over the weekend or in the next week, we're recommending only 50% capacity, and that will be in the health orders. We also want to make sure that there's more wide mask wearing. So obviously if you're at any indoor setting, including a workplace, including Parliament House, except if you're speaking, you should be wearing a mask. So we are going to extend mask wearing to indoor settings like workplaces, and we already had them in place for a number of venues which we announced yesterday. Now, if you're going to an organised event, like an outdoor sporting event or an outdoor concert or some type of other event, in addition to the 50% capacity, we also want you to wear a mask at those events. So if you're going to a sporting event, there's likely to be cheering and shouting and whatever else. Given how contagious the virus is, we want you to be wearing a mask at those events. Also, obviously, the exception is if you're eating or drinking, and that's applied throughout. Now, gym classes will be limited to 20 people, but you do have to wear a mask. So some people might choose not to attend those gym classes. We want to not have a bigger impact than we need to, but gym classes are limited to 20 and you must wear a mask. And as for public transport, it's back to the green dots. So the green dots are still there. We kept them in place, fortunately. So make sure you're wearing a mask on public transport and make sure you wear those green dots. Now, importantly, if you live or work in those 7 LGAs that we had described earlier in the week, so I don't live in one of those LGAs, but I work in one of those LGAs, you cannot travel beyond metropolitan Sydney. So if you live or work in those 7 LGAs, which includes all of us, you cannot travel outside metropolitan Sydney, unless it's essential. So unless you're going to visit a relative in care or unless you have to go for work. So unless it's essential travel, you should not be going outside metropolitan Sydney for the next week. And we apologise in advance that this does impact some people's ability to travel during the school holidays. But these measures mean that we don't have to go further at this stage. So we're not going to restrict people's movement or what they do, but we are going to restrict, if you live or work in those 7 LGAs, you shouldn't go beyond metropolitan Sydney unless it's absolutely essential.